With Cavalry centre back Daan Klomp, who is back in Calgary and has been for a few weeks now, chatting on the eve of Forge and Cavalry in the TSN Match of the Week. Their first trip back here. So you left and had a brief foray back into European football, but Forge hasn't been back yet, so you actually beat them here. And now we're getting a first of two meetings in the run into the playoffs. I want to sort of go through the journey to Belgium, coming back, etc. But let's start with the final, because that was the last time I saw you. You were actually wearing clogs covered in Carlsberg, I think.
Correct, yes.
When you think back to that day and the build-up and having been asked about this rivalry for so many years and having come so close, that euphoria of finally getting over the line, what do you remember from first whistle of the match to the post-game celebrations that I'm sure lasted long into the night?
Yeah, no, I think especially because the narrative was always like Forge, we've never beaten Forge in the playoffs, so doing that at their place first. And then, of course, the story, what happened the year before, gave us like a big chip on our shoulder, and to put it over the line like this was a very special moment, and like you said, it went on to the late hours.
Spoken with Tommy Wielden Jr. and Tofa Fakunle plenty. We're so close to the end of the year already, it's kind of hard to believe, but something that's maybe unique about this team is how much of that championship caliber, the roster is back. There's of course some new additions that have made this group exciting. There's always some changes around the edges, but how much can continuity help you guys when you get closer to playoff time? Because you've won together, so you know what it takes now. Yeah,
that experience that you have, and then especially with the group you do it with, is something special. And the continuity that it builds like connections that you don't really have with guys that are new coming in, and you're trying to bring them with you to these new highs that we're trying to reach. And like you said, I've been gone for only a brief 10 months, but now I have to get back up to speed with these guys as well, and of course I bring these experiences from last year, from the year before that, winning the league. So it's been special.
Every footballer has aspirations, and I don't want to paint you all with the same brush because everyone has different priorities, but when you get to a point, I imagine, where you've won the championship that eluded you, you've won the Shield, Player of the Year, Defender of the Year 2 years in a row, I imagine there's always an itch to say maybe what's the next step for me, or what's the new challenge, and every player goes through that. I'm curious, when you kind of had made the decision, look, I want to try something different. What goes into that thought process, leaving a great situation and say, I want to spread my wings?
Well, with that final and it being the last game at Spruce, it was like a perfect way to say goodbye to everybody here, I felt like. And like you said, I've kind of done most things in the league that I could have done. So this was the perfect time for me, and then unfortunately it didn't end up the way I wanted to. I had a brief spell in Australia where I went on trial. Yeah. Got offered a contract, but like it was so long and wasn't really what I wanted to do. Then after that, I took the challenge up in Belgium, and it was pretty tough with the language barrier over there. I'm not gonna lie, I was the only guy that was in the whole team that didn't speak French. So it's you miss a lot, and especially here, I talk a lot with Tommy and the leaders of the group about tactics and all that stuff, and it's pretty tough when you're over there and you're missing all that stuff, because that's where I have my edge a little bit.
It's funny, you think in some ways it's close to a homecoming, but in other ways you're in the north of the country and everyone speaks a different language. So I guess that's bad news for Atletico Ottawa in the future then, if French isn't up your sleeve. So then I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing in life as a failure. There's just learnings and ways to take experiences and move forward from them. I wonder if, even though you were only gone for what feels like 4 or 5 months, do you take things from the trial in Oz, the stint at La Louvière, and say, okay, this has maybe exposed my thinking or broadened my horizons, when you've been so used to one system that evolves, of course, but when you get a little bit of a taste of something different, how is Daan Klomp different in your second era here?
No, it definitely, I think when you, especially in Europe, the way they think about football is a lot different than we're still doing over here. I think the intensity, not just in the football, just life around it, is just like a couple times higher than what we do here. And people live for the sport over there, and that's something that I want to bring back here and take my teammates with to hopefully reach new highs here.
We, as the media, spoke a lot about this is such a similar Cavalry team, but it's impossible to replace a Defender of the Year, two-time Defender and Player of the Year, MVP, etc. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke.
Yeah, it's been enough.
Okay, I'll stop there then. So there's no doubt that this club was lacking something, and when you became available, I imagine it was a pretty easy decision for Tommy and Tofa not to put words in their mouth. I'm curious about that phone call or the text message. Was it quick? It was, hey, I'm ready to come home if we can make it work.
So yeah, of course, my contract in Belgium ran out at the end of June. So I still gave myself like a month and a bit to explore other options to see if something that I still wanted to do, because I was only 26 at the time. Like, I still have a couple good years left, hopefully, to see if something interesting came up, and nothing really came up that, in my eyes, was better than Cavs, with everything that I have here. So then I think second week of August, it was a pretty quick phone call, and a week later I was here.
I know that there were Daan Klomp spottings all over social media, so I'm sure you guys try to keep it under wraps, but there's no doubt the supporters are rightfully excited to have you back. And let's talk about being back. A couple of tastes. You get the incredible goal against Vancouver. Even in your first stint here, I imagine that match and the wild ending to it must rank pretty high in terms of 90 minutes of football with this club.
Yeah, no, it's a different one than all the other highs that I've had with this club, but it's been very special because of all the messages I got from the fans and everybody wishing me the best. I got so many people saying, "Oh, I know you're going to score the winner," and then to actually give back to the people in that sense, because the pressure was high from the outside, but I also put myself, gave myself a lot of pressure for that game as well. So it's been nice, and it's also been a bit different for me as well, because of course, like I said, it's been quite a while since I've trained with a team. Yeah. So my fitness wasn't there where it should have been. But yeah, the people from the outside don't know that yet. So like but yeah, to score the winner in that time, 90+7, is special.
I imagine too, coming back to Calgary, you forget what the altitude can do. When you think about fitness, you're like, okay, it's been a minute since I've been 1,400 meters above sea level.
Exactly.
Okay, Forge this weekend, you've got your first start under your belts going into this game where Forge is on a run that we might not see for a long time. You understand better than anyone just how difficult it is to win, difficult to not lose. I wonder, with the history that the two clubs have, and how much you've each taken something from each other over the years, is there a little piece in the back of your mind? I know you can say a game is a game, but to be the club that would break this streak, you get 2 cracks at it. That's got to give you a little extra juice to say, we're not going to let them roll through us twice.
Yeah, but also I don't really think we need that juice. I think that rivalry is always there. I don't really think, Tommy said it today as well, I don't think we need any motivation to play Forge. And for them to be on this run, you gotta respect it, because like you said, I know how hard it is. I think we only won we won on the streak of like 11-12, and there was like quite a lot of draws in it as well. So like it's very impressive, and we gotta give him credit for that, and we give him respect. But that respect, that's also it, and we're gonna go all guns blazing tomorrow.
With this question having been asked to you probably 10,000 times, I'm not even going to apologize for asking again. I'm just going to ask it again. What makes this rivalry special? Because we've seen Cavalry Forge. We're getting a national audience who's going to experience it. Maybe some people who have never seen the CPL or seen you two play. Each fixture brings its own traditions and intricacies. But when you think of when you boil it down, what makes Cavalry and Forge special?
I think you've said it before. We've taken things from each other at very special moments. They won the league here. Then 2 years ago, they beat us when we were 1-0 up in extra time to beat us 2-1, and now we're up again from last final. So it's an ongoing thing, and we want to be at the end of it. And
my last question. Tommy, I didn't realize was so big into arithmetic, but every time we ask him about playoffs and positioning, he says, until we're mathematically eliminated, we're going to play every game like we can win the Shield. And that's still on the table. Defending a North Star Cup will be on the table when the playoffs do start. How motivated is this group to sort of prove to the rest of the league, the supporters, yours and others, that maybe last year wasn't a fluke, and that Calgary is one of the powerhouses, if not the powerhouse of the Canadian Premier League?
Yeah, we take it game by game. Of course, like we know what it is to win a league now and win a cup. So I think we all just need to be prepared for that, and now we get in the running leading up to it, and that's where we need to try and find our form back and do it like last time, have Wojciechowski on a run where he scores 7 goals in 8 games, so that's what we want.
All right, well, it's the Masters this weekend at Spruce Meadows. Dan, I don't think we can take this home, but we're glad you were able to sit down with us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.